Greetings. This is Justin Allen, the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today we'll be talking to Nicole, who is a family nurse practitioner. Currently, she is working full-time as an orthopedic hospitalist. She started an online coaching business about a year ago and is wanting to transition to a standard brick-and-mortar practice where she will be offering hormone replacement therapy and weight loss. She's needing assistance with the logistics surrounding how to transition her business into a brick-and-mortar practice and how to navigate this new business idea. Hey, Nicole, how are you?
I'm great, Justin. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for hopping on here. So let's jump into this. So how long have you been a nurse practitioner for, and what kind of things you've been doing?
So I've been an NP for over 6 years and working in acute care medicine the entire time. I started out as a hospitalist for 2 years and then another takeover, and that job got dissolved and I ended up transitioning into orthopedic hospitalist. That job got dissolved, so I moved to another facility and now I'm still continuing to do that job. I've been there for about 2.5 years now.
Okay. Do you like it?
It is not taking advantage of all my skill set. And it's a great job. I'm salaried. I only see client or patients in the hospital, and it's pretty low key, especially compared to being a full-time hospitalist. That was very stressful, though I did
Sure.
learn a lot. Yeah, the hours a lot better. I get paid a little bit more money, but I'm still, yeah, especially as I'm learning more and listening to your podcast and everything, and I'm not getting paid nearly what they're making off of me. So it's getting a little irritating, and they're just continuing to pile on more work. I actually just yesterday had a meeting and they're like, well, we're losing a nurse practitioner and we need somebody to help out in the triage clinic. So we're volunteering you, basically, like you're going to have to come in for a couple hours every week. And I'm like, are we going to get any RVUs for this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, cool. Okay.
Yeah, great. I can't wait.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yay. This
Yeah.
is so much fun. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's pretty typical. They're gonna work you more and pay you less, basically, right? Seems to be the case amongst a lot of nurse practitioner jobs. So yeah, I don't blame you one bit. So so let's talk about what you've done then. So you started a coaching business about a year ago.
Yes, I started, it's called Anti-Gravity Wellness. That's because I work in orthopedics with hip fractures and total joints. So it just kind of was fitting for me.
Sure.
And I started out with nutrition and fitness coaching, especially the nutrition side of it, doing meal plans and then weekly check-ins and then some fitness training with some folks. And they've been showing such dramatic changes from anything that I've been able to do in the acute care setting. Like I can give you a medication and make you feel better right now, but I didn't actually fix anything. And with this, I was actually reversing lifestyle that was causing these, symptoms of, overweight and dizziness and all these other things. So it was really rewarding. And I just wanted to continue in that direction, but I was a little nervous about doing like integrating my NP into the whole thing, liability, and also, I have a non-compete, but it's very specific to orthopedics, and I'm not doing orthopedics, so
Sure.
should be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, and being exposed to what, all that you've been offering and other nurse practitioners out there who are doing this, it's given me the confidence and like the push to go like, just freaking do it already.
Sure, sure. So how has the coaching business been? Like, I mean, are you making money? Are you busy? Like, I mean, tell me a little bit more about this.
The first 6 months, I actually was doing very well, very, very low overhead. It was all virtual basically, and had some people come over to my home gym just to help them train, but had like an open gym once a week. And I very quickly maxed out on the number of clients that I could take on part time, which was great. And it was all organic. I wasn't doing any advertising. It was through friends and family and then recommendations from there. And I'm still getting some trickling in from there. But right now, my biggest thing is I kind of pumped the brakes a little bit and I hired a virtual assistant and I was working on systems and processes and everything. And now I'm to that point where I'm want to transition and I need I'm going to have to ramp up marketing and do all that thing. So it's a whole other transition phase for me right now that's seems really daunting.
Gotcha. So this coaching business, it sounded like it was mostly local. It really wasn't like you weren't really seeing clients all over, the country.
I had, and I still have one of them, that was not so I'm in Washington State. I have one gal who's in Alabama. She's been with me for over 6 months, and then I had another one who she still lived in Washington, but she was actually stationed over in, Indonesia, and so I was helping her with meal plans for 3 months.
Gotcha. Okay. So, so are you wanting to scrap this pretty much and just completely transition to something new?
I actually wanna integrate it. I wanna build on top of it because, like I said, it's been so beneficial, to my clients to really work on because diet's everything. I have another client who just called me this morning and told me that her kidney function is back to normal, and she had been really low, like, worrying about down the road dialysis if she didn't turn things around for almost 2 years. So I know that it's very important, but I wanna also on top of that, what I've gotten, feedback from my clients is that, especially with women and their hormones, around here, it's very difficult to find anyone who will first of all, primary cares are backed up. They're like, 3 to 6 months out. And then even when they do get in, they won't do anything but maybe a birth control pill because they're just not trained in that. They're not familiar with, they're not comfortable with it. And a lot of them, if you're not, in the perimenopause, menopause, they don't think you need it.
Right.
But some of these ladies do. So they're like, "Well, why can't you do this, Nicole?" And I'm like, "I wasn't there yet. I just wasn't ready. I wanted to make sure I was well trained enough to be able to take that on and comfortable. And I've been doing a lot of continuing education, and now I feel that I'm ready."
Sure. I mean, it's really not that difficult. Once you understand it, right? That's pretty much with anything, really. Um, okay, cool. Sounds reasonable. So you're going to be treating predominantly women then?
Initially, yes. I do also want to do a separate service line once I get this one kind of down for men. And that's one of the reasons why I know with the testosterone thing, I cannot find a straight answer. I'm going to have to call the Washington State Board of Nursing or something about if I have to have an in-person visit for a testosterone initiating treatment on that. But that was one of the reasons why I wanted a physical location, and also just I did a initial client consult last Saturday at a coffee shop, and I was like, "This is not okay. It's so busy in here, and this is not HIPAA compliant." I'm freaking out. I don't think the client even noticed, but I was like, "Oh my god, this is not okay."
Yeah,
So
they didn't care. As long as you saw them in person one time, there's really no specifics surrounding that. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, the laws in terms of the telemedicine and seeing a patient in person, all this kind of stuff, it's constantly evolving. This was recorded summer of 2023. And so by the time this is published, the new DEA guidelines will be released. They're supposed to release those sometime in October, November. And so that'll give us a little bit more guidance, right? Most states just default to the federal guidelines. So, right now you can probably see patients, via telemedicine and not see them in person. But we don't really know what's going to change with the DEA. So, by the time, like I said, by the time this is released, you'll know. So we'll all know in October, November, basically, what that's going to look like. But having a physical location, it kind of mitigates that, right? So and hybrid practices, anyways, they just do better. telemedicine only. I mean, it works, in person only works, but a hybrid's the best way to go. You do both basically. Um, and the thing is, if you have a physical location and you see patients in person, like even women, because I mean, some of these women you're probably going to prescribe, low dose testosterone to. Um, you just see them one time in person. After that, it's predominantly laboratory based medicine, right? I mean, most of the time it can just be a phone call, the follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool deal. So you'll be seeing women predominantly at first, and then see men as well. How do you feel about doing testosterone replacement therapy in?
I'm not as familiar with it, but it doesn't seem overly complicated
No,
once I learn about it.
yeah, it's easy. I mean, if you can manage a high blood pressure patient, you can manage a high testosterone patient. It's really not much to it. Um, so you might want to maybe consider, just having a page on your website saying that you do treat it, just in case. And it's such a low barrier to entry thing. Like, why not? You literally just put a page on your website and just see them, and you're ordering this kind of, predominantly the same lab, the same labs, and you're ordering from the same compounding pharmacies. Like, it's really not anything significant. So,
Okay.
yeah. Um, okay, so you're going to be offering predominantly hormone replacement therapy and weight loss services in this practice, and you're going to be doing you're going to continue to do some of this nutritional exercise coaching and stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah, that'll be part of the subscription.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're going to be on a subscription based model.
Yeah.
Yeah, cash pay. I'm assuming, right?
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah,
not dealing with insurance. Nope.
yeah. I don't blame you. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it sounds like a pretty solid idea. So, um, what do you specifically need help with this?
So, well, when I first reached out, I was still struggling with whether or not I was going to pull the trigger on a physical location. But thankfully, some family members kind of listened to my plight and just offered me to give me a little bit of cash to get me through, the first 3 months. So that's been really helpful. And I walked in yesterday. It's a naturopathic doctor's office that had a room that they were subleasing basically. And I've known her for years, and I've actually been shadowing her. And she's great, and she just loves me. So she's like, "We need you in here." I'm like, "Okay," for like the nutrition aspect of it, especially because she just struggles with that part of it. And I just walked in yesterday, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't need first or last months, and there's really no contract. You just, give us rent, and there you go. The room's yours." And I'm like, "Oh my god, okay."
Yeah, nice handshake
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. Which is really awesome. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. So she is this naturopathic doctor. She is going to be retiring in about 2 years, and she wants me to take over her practice. She currently only takes Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then she was hoping that I would do Medicare, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot. There's just no way.
No.
I cannot. And she barely makes any money as it is. But then again, that was never her drive. She just wanted to see her patients. So I would definitely run things differently. But yeah, so I don't know if that would be in 2 years if I'm going to have enough of, I still want to keep the anti gravity side of it and have like the based practice and maybe expand into IV hydration and things like that and have more of like a boutique type thing. And then also maybe have this other integrated family medicine practice that is more primary care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's just gonna give it to you.
It's very low cost. She's not looking to like make a bunch of money off of it, but she could if she wanted. She has like over 6,000 patients on her EMR. Like she's accumulated a
Wow.
lot. They have no website, no advertising. It's just word of mouth. People just love her.
Okay. It sounds like a pretty solid opportunity here. So, any idea how much she'd be willing to sell this for? Have you talked about it at all, or?
But we have not talked actual numbers yet. No, so I'm not sure.
Right. Okay. So just don't bet the farm on it, but kind of keep it there in the background. It might be one of those things that could pull off. Uh, yeah, I mean, it could be a good opportunity for you, right? So I wouldn't, uh, I wouldn't rely on that though. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she might not retire. She might ask for a ridiculous amount of money or something. But if you can get a patient census of thousands of patients, like, I mean, you're buying a pretty solid business. So, um, In terms of the subleasing the room with for her, even though it's a handshake deal and whatnot, I would highly suggest at least having just a very basic lease or very basic contract, something that just at least gives you 120 days to leave in case something happened. You know what I mean? Just something to protect you.
Okay, that's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Just something basic. Doesn't got to be anything fancy, okay? But just something simple, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure that there's a termination clause in it that at least gives you 120 days because, God forbid something happens and, you got to be out in 30 days. Like you'd be scrambling.
For sure. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
So kind of keep that in mind. I mean, I'm all about handshake deals. I do a lot of handshake deals in business, but if something like that, though, I would definitely want something on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of keep that in mind. Are you going to be using her staff and whatnot, or is it just a room?
It's just a room. I will, and it's going to be initially just Saturday by appointment only because I'm still working Monday through Friday at the hospital, and technically I can't, double dip here. So, and I will have to um, let my client in through the other door basically, and then lock it behind them because it's kind of there's another office back there, but it's empty right now, so there's nobody back there. So we have to be conscious about that. But yeah, no, I won't be utilizing her staff or anything. It's just me.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, whatever it works. That's how my practices were. It was basically just me, at first. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so you're gonna do this 1 day a week then, while you're still working. That's fine. That's what I did too. You're gonna work your ass off and you're gonna be tired, but it's just kind of part of it, right? So yeah, that all sounds reasonable to me. So any other questions about the space or the logistics with that? All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all elite nurse practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and the other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode.
What kind of equipment would you recommend? I've got like blood pressure cuff and a stat monitor, but is there anything else you think I would need right away or should look into getting at some point?
Something just to do some basic vital signs, right? Let me see here. I mean, obviously you're gonna need a laptop and basic office stuff like that. But in terms of medical equipment goes, you know, that and a stethoscope. I mean, there's not really a whole lot else you're gonna need. This is predominantly laboratory-based medicine, right? So you don't need that much. Lab draw stuff. You need to be thinking about that. How are you gonna draw patient labs, right? Have you thought through that process?
Currently, I have them go to, we've got several LabCorp locations around here, and then we have some other smaller boutique lab type places, but mostly they just go to LabCorp.
Okay, perfect. So you just give them an order and they just go. I would just keep doing that then. Just keep it simple. I wouldn't be drawing a bunch of blood work and stuff on your patients. Are they using their insurance when you send them to LabCorp, or are they paying cash? How's that work?
I do give them the option to use their insurance. A lot of them want to try as much as they can. So I put the ICD-10 codes, and then I just signed up for Access Labs, but I have been using DHA Labs, and they've been really great about it. I just put in their info, put in the ICD-10 codes, and tell them they want to use their insurance, and then they coordinate with the client, and I don't have to deal with it.
Right. Yeah, the lab typically will take care of all that for you. You don't have to fool with it. Okay, cool. Well, I would just keep doing that then. As you get busier, uh, I would still give the patient those options. They can use their insurance if they want, or these are the cash rates that I've negotiated with the lab. if you negotiate some cash rates with them, good. If not, you can use our discount lab tab on the main Elite MP website. You can go through that company, and you can get some pretty solid discounted labs, and those patients can just get the blood work done at LabCorp. So,
Okay.
yeah, for some pretty cheap cash based rates. But yeah, always give them the option to use insurance. I think that's just a good idea, especially if they're paying you cash for almost everything else. Um, okay, yeah, maybe a little exam table, a little massage table or something probably be just fine. You don't need anything crazy. You know, you can buy a massage table on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever for a couple $100. You know, just put that in the corner there, and whatever patient can lay on it. You can do your exam and call it a day. And then you have a little desk, little chair for the consultation, and that's really about it. You don't need to complicate it. How big is this room?
It's about 12 by 13.
Okay, so yeah, it's not huge, but it'll work. Yeah. Any other questions with that?
Um, Going back to we talked about labs. What about like diagnostic imaging? Do you have a particular way that if you're doing that, like ultrasounds, mammograms, X-rays, and things like that, if that comes up, do you just fax it over to the imaging place, or what do you do?
Yeah, literally just write an order on a prescription pad and just fax it over.
Okay,
Yeah.
easy.
You can Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, a lot of EMRs will have the ability. You can put an order in and print it off and fax it or whatever. Or if you use a diagnostic testing center frequently, like for example, we use one in town. That's pretty much where we send all of our patients. And they have this. They have a radiological kind of order sheet, kind of like a lab order sheet, but for
Oh, really?
ultrasound, MRI, CT, X-ray, whatever. And that's pretty much what we use. We just check the mark, check whatever we want, write the diagnosis code in, sign it, fax it, and that's pretty much it. And then the patient will just use their insurance. So then you have to deal sometimes with pre-authorizations and all that nonsense with it. The diagnostic center typically will not do that. You're going to be responsible for that. So there is that headache if you're going to have your patients use insurance for testing like that. Most outpatient diagnostic centers will have cash-based pricing. And so you might want to see if they can give you a list of the cash-based pricing. I just try to convince most of my patients just to pay cash. And then that way we don't have to worry about the insurance nonsense. Because if the patient's paying cash for, like, let's say you're going to do an MRI on someone's L spine or something, and they're going to bill the insurance company $2,000 or $3,000 for that MRI. Then the patient will have to pay the deductible, which can be $1,000, whatever. Then they're going to pay for the radiology, read fee, etc. When they could if they would just pay cash right from the get go, it cost them $400. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
cheaper cash. Just pay cash. Like, don't fool with your insurance. It's a scam. Waste your
Yeah,
time.
it really is. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, 'cause that was definitely something I was struggling with because I got a gal right now who needs a mammogram, and I'm like, what do we need to do? And I don't want to have to send her back to her OB. That's gonna again take forever to get back to her. So,
Right.
um, the other thing, I always get asked all the time if I send a script to their pharmacy, is it going to be covered? And so far, because I'm still at the hospital, all the pharmacies know me from there, so it's covered, and I've got my MPI, my DEA, and all that kind of stuff. But when I'm, let's say down the road when I can finally break free and not be working at the hospital anymore, and I'm not credentialed because I'm going to especially opt out of Medicare, will I still be able to send a script in and they can use their insurance? Do you know how that
Yeah.
works?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. Yeah, that makes no difference.
Okay, I just wanted to double check
Yeah.
because so far it's been not. There's been no problem. I just,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, there should continue to really be no problem with it. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Okay. Okay. Well, those were my main questions.
Okay.
So yeah.
Are you going to be using a compounding pharmacy for, a lot of these hormones and weight loss meds and stuff?
Yes, I am going to get signed up with those. So I took your the women's hormone. one, and then telemedicine and peptides. And then I have the men's one. I just haven't gone through it yet. And I'm going to use those pharmacies that you're talking about. And also, there's a local one here that I can talk to and get all set up with.
Cool. You might want to go with the local option first, and give them a chance. Just because it's really great to have a working relationship with the pharmacist and whatnot. And usually they'll give you a little bit better customer service. So you might want to try that route first. Now, this is the problem with local compounding pharmacies. I've used a couple, and unfortunately, I have had some bad experiences with most of them. I don't understand how you can open up a business and just not care about it, but give them a chance, because if you can find a solid local one, yeah, you might not have to fool with anyone else. So
Okay. Yeah, that would be ideal.
yeah, now they might not be able to match the pricing of the big guys though. So at the end of the day, you need to do what's best for for the books. What's going to be best for your profit margins. That's going to be really the most important aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just shop around. I mean, there are so many compounding pharmacies out there that are licensed in, majority of states. And so shop around. Don't settle with just one vendor, one pharmacy. Open up accounts with multiple pharmacies and multiple vendors. Okay. That way you can get the most ideal pricing through the pharmacy or the vendor. And plus it's a good way to have a backup. And so if one pharmacy is out of, I don't know, testosterone, for example, or estrogen or whatever, you can, pivot and use another pharmacy. You're not going to be scrambling. A lot of people, they scramble when their one pharmacy doesn't have something. It's just like, that's why you have multiple accounts. Okay. So make sure you have
Okay.
multiple accounts, at least three. Okay. I'm pretty sure my men's health clinic, we're at like 6 or 8 compounding pharmacy accounts. I don't even know anymore. Like, I don't even order meds anymore. Like, all my medical assistants do. So, but yeah, just keep that in mind. The weight loss, you didn't really bring that up much. What are your plans with that?
My main focus as it has been with the coaching is nutrition. I am totally open to using like Ozempic and things like that on a case by case basis, but I don't want to turn into one of those weight loss pill mills that
Sure.
here you go, because we've got plenty of those in town. Like those are a dime a dozen. They're all over the place, and I end up getting some of those clients when they're like, I want to come off of this, but I don't know how to, and I don't know how to eat. So I help them transition off of it. And there's a rebound, but we deal with it, and then send them on their way. They're doing great. So I want it to be more of a you know combination thing where I will utilize that if we need it, but it's not going to be like primary thing that I'm pushing.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, keep it as an option. At the end of the day, unfortunately, a lot of people just, they just want a med. Um,
True.
but there's, yeah, so make sure you definitely have it as an option. But I mean, if nutrition's your passion, then I'd really just hammer that out, always a little low dose phentermine for a month or two just to kind of jumpstart things. Uh, could improve patient satisfaction and whatnot if it's necessary.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be advertising and marketing this?
So far, I've been primarily just on social media. Now with an actual brick and mortar location, I'm going to push more for the Google analytics. And I have a gal who is actually doing a kind of an overhaul on my SEO right now. And this is perfect timing because I'm doing this. So she's going to be helping me with that to get that dialed in. And that's going to be, I think, one of my main things, aside from just referrals, like from that naturopathic doctor. I'll be in the same office, and she's definitely going to be sending people my way, and then continuing with the organic referrals as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So should be pretty lean in terms of marketing spend, then it sounds like.
That's my hope, yes, because
Yeah.
that gives me palpitations. Like all the
Yeah.
money that has to be done to that, but I get it.
Yeah, I mean, you could spend a lot on marketing and not really get a whole lot of a return out of it. So you got to be very cautious with that. You really, really need to be thinking to yourself, is spending this money on this particular ad or this marketing channel or whatever, is this really going to get the message in front of the type of person that I want? You know, So, a lot of nurse practitioners start practices and they just dump money in all these marketing avenues, and it's just complete waste of money. They just throw away thousands and thousands of dollars. So your goal with this, then, I'm assuming, is just kind of slow and steady. You're not really wanting, any crazy growth here at first. Like, what's your goal with this?
Yeah, I don't wanna get so slammed that then I have to basically tell people that they're, "Yeah, I know you're 3 months out." I mean, I guess if I get to that point, then that's my cue that, not 3 months, but, a couple weeks out, if I'm getting to that point, then that's my cue that I need to maybe then turn around and talk to the hospital and say, "Hey, I would like to go down to part-time," and if that's not an option, then I can find something else to go part-time to continue to support myself through this, transitioning into doing this full-time.
Gotcha. Solid plan. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you got sounds like you got a really good plan here. Uh, yeah, in terms of marketing goes, I wouldn't really spend much on it then. I mean, if your goal is just a nice, slow, steady kind of thing, just see what happens with word of mouth, having your Google business listing, getting some patient reviews, having a solid website, just getting the word out to, gyms or wherever, and just kind of see what happens. There are some people out there, there's some nurse practitioners who start a practice that don't spend a dollar on marketing and absolutely just kill it. Like, right place, right time, right demographic, right snowball of word of mouth. So, maybe that'll happen for you. If it doesn't, I'd give it about 8 weeks. And if it's just kind of slow, you feel like that, you should be a little bit busier than you are, then I would start considering, doing a little bit more paid advertising. Well, do you have any other questions at all? This was pretty short, but it was pretty straight to the point. So, any other questions or concerns?
No, I think I just really kind of needed to bounce some stuff off of you just to make sure that I was on the right track and to get that reassurance. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate
No.
that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it sounds like you got a pretty solid idea here. You sound pretty confident about it. I mean, you already have established clients. You you know there's a need for it. You know there's a demand for it. You got the space. Like, your gut's telling you to do this, right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if your gut's telling you to do this, go for it. A lot of times your gut's right. Sometimes it's not, but a lot of times it is. So, um, yeah, I mean, if you're pretty confident about it, and you already have an established following, established business. Yeah, knock it out. I wish you the best of luck with it. So, any other final questions about the business?
That's all that I had.
All right. Well, I'd like to end the episode with you asking me any questions. Do you have a question specific to, maybe to me, any curiosities or anything?
I actually am kind of curious. Do you use AI in any of your businesses right now? And if you do, how are you utilizing that?
Yeah, like using like Chat GPT, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use it a whole lot. Um, what I've used it for mostly is like to create like a little agreement or a contract, some really simple legal document that I need done. You know what I mean? Um, just because, I found that anytime I've ever hired a lawyer to write like a legal document up for me, like, it just seems like just generic nonsense that they just pulled up in some archive that they have and put my information in it and like
Mhm.
didn't like, I just feel like it was a waste of money. And so, for very basic agreements and whatnot, artificial intelligence is great for that. I would be very hesitant though about using artificial intelligence for writing content and articles and that kind of a thing for you. It's just it it's generic sounding, it's flat sounding, it sounds like a robot wrote it. Like, I know when I go to a website and they're using AI to write their content, like, it sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very obvious. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you can use it for stuff like that. If you wanted to help you write out like some subscription-based plans for your practice, for example, or some of the forms, for example, help you streamline some of that stuff. It's you could definitely use it for that.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So don't rely too much on it, though. I have a feeling that people are going to end up becoming too heavily reliant on it, and they're going to end up forgetting how to think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, yeah. So, anyways, cool. Well, awesome. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. And if you ever want to come back on here and let us know how it's going, feel free to email me.
All right. Thank you so much, Justin. I
All
appreciate
right.
you.
No problem. Take care. Bye. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation with Nicole. She sounds like she has a pretty solid idea. I mean, she already has an established coaching business, so just integrating it into a practice should be relatively simple for her. She pretty much knew what she was doing. She just needed a little bit of some confirmation, right? Just needed someone to say, yep, that sounds like a solid plan. So, trust your gut. If you make a solid plan and you are confident that what you're going to do is going to succeed, then just trust your gut and get started, okay? Now go into that, with a little due diligence though. Do a little bit of market research, make sure there's not a whole lot of competition, that sort of a thing. You never want to start a practice in a super saturated market, for example. But if your gut's telling you that something is going to work and you have some evidence to support it, like for example, she was doing coaching, she has clients, like she knows she has something here, go for it. Just go for it. Trust your gut. Sometimes decisions in business require a little bit of a risk, and to just trust your gut versus getting into analysis paralysis and looking at every single piece of evidence and doing that sort of a thing. Like sometimes you just gotta pull the trigger and just trust your gut. All right, hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and/or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.